You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
As for Elliot Cadeau, he committed to Carolina, like I said, about an hour before kickoff of the Holiday Bowl. We're going to do a more full recap and breakdown of him next week, but I want to go ahead and get the ball rolling so you can to whet your appetite on Elliot Cadeau and what he'll bring. He was playing in a holiday tournament, was just about to tip off his game, but before they did so, he came on to 247 Sports, flanked by his parents and his brother, to announce his commitment. He chooses the Tar Heels, Cadeau does, over Kansas, over Louisville, Texas Tech, and Syracuse. And so this is one of those where there had been some Tar Heel momentum, some crystal balls. I was hearing things inside that sounded positive, but you just never know until the hat goes on or the jacket's unzipped or whatever it may be. And so this is great news. The second player now in the class of 2024 for North Carolina, he joins Drake Powell. Elliot Cadeau, this is great. He is a true, pure, honest to goodness point guard, like the guy you want when you think about a true good old point guard. Number 8 overall player at 247 Sports, the number 1 point guard. A little bit smaller than Caleb Love, but a little bit bigger than RJ Davis. He's 6'1", 165. Obviously, will probably continue to grow muscle and other things. He comes from West Orange, New Jersey, but he plays his basketball for his high school basketball at Link Academy down in Branson, Missouri. If you've never been there, don't. Okay, great. Glad you heard that from me. But it's pretty cool, though, because Branson is my neck of the woods. It's about an hour south of me. And so I need to make some plans to go down and see Mr. Cadeau play this season. So as I said, joins Drake Powell as the second player in Carolina's class of 24. And he made a bold statement in his remarks after his commitment. He says, "I'll be contributing my freshman year as a starter on the team." And so it's like, all right, bro, you do you. Love the confidence. Got to come in and prove it, though. The good of Cadeau, as I said, true, pure point guard. And you love to have that type of playmaker on your team. That is fantastic. He's a guy that just cares about winning. I don't care about if you get the points or I get the points or whatever it is. I want to do things that make my basketball team win. That's a guy I want playing with me and for me. He is a playmaker, but he is also a high level scorer. But it's just that he's so unselfish. He's got this great court vision, and that's more what sets him apart from all of their point guards. And so a great player that Hubert Davis is getting in Elliot Cadeau for the class of 24, whose goal is to be a one and done player. He's explicitly stated that, and so we will watch to see how that plays out in his potentially 1 year in Chapel Hill. Now, when exactly that will be remains to be seen. There have been rumblings of him committing in the class of 23, reclassifying and bumping up a class. Frankly, for me, given the fact that he's chosen North Carolina, I think a reclass would be unwise of him. Think ahead, folks, to how crowded the backcourt is going to be next year. I'm assuming Caleb Love leaves, but I'm assuming RJ Davis comes back at this point. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see on all that. Seth Trimble is uber talented and has popped on some draft boards, but I don't think he will leave. I think he needs to come back for another year. It just depends on if he thinks he needs to come back for another year. DeMarco Dunn will be back in the fold. And so if Cadeau comes in, let's not forget Carolina is also getting Simeon Wilcher in the class of 23. And so it is going to be a loaded backcourt even without Elliot Cadeau. And let me just tell you, Simeon Wilcher is going to be playing and probably playing quite a bit. And so it seems wise that Cadeau would wait and stay in his original class of 24 and come then. Now, as to him personally, he's still undecided. This is kind of how he talks about it. He said, quote, "The main aspects on my decision will be the roster," that decision being whether to reclassify. If there's an open spot on the roster, then I might take that opportunity to reclassify up if I think it's right for me, end quote. I just feel like more often than not, this doesn't go well. when you see players come in early and do this. Sometimes it does, and it goes really well, but more often than not, I just feel like it doesn't. And so for Elliot Cadeau's sake, for the longevity of Carolina, man, just elite point guard after elite guard now, and you just love to see it. But for the sake of the program and extending it, would love to see him come and stay in 24. But man, you just think about these guys Carolina's been getting, these guards, it's insane, and it continues even in more recent years. Cole Anthony and Kobe White. Kobe just so good at Carolina in that 1 year. Really wish they could have had him a second year. And now, Caleb Love, RJ Davis, Seth Trimble's here. You get Simeon Wilcher next year. Now you find out you're going to get Elliot Cadeau that next year. Man, it's just really neat to see what Hubert Davis is continuing to do on the recruiting trail. And you know what? Maybe part of it is he wants to go to a full legit three guard lineup, maybe even four if you got some taller guards, kind of like what Baylor does, and it works for them. We've seen that, as Pat Kilby and I talked about on Wednesday. We've seen that firsthand, how that Baylor three guard lineup can be really disruptive and cause all sorts of problems. And so maybe that's what Hubert Davis wants to do. We'll have to wait and see on what Elliot Cadeau ultimately decides to do. But he is a Tar Heel. He's going to be a Tar Heel, and very excited for that. As I said, we'll break that down more with Jason Jordan next week when he is on the show. Can't wait for that.